All right, hi friends. It is us again. Here to talk about the new enhanced feature. I think we've been doing these founders chats on the last few features we've released. We love doing them, so why not do it for this one? As we're very excited about this feature, we like to start these out with a quick demo just so we're all on the same page of what we're looking at. But then definitely want to dig into all of the why, the messy details behind the scenes, all the what's coming next. But Edie, would you like to take us away with a quick
Yeah, of
demo?
course. Great. So enhance. So this is where you can turn any image into a professional flat lay. One thing to know is that you can do it both on existing items and also new items. So I'll show you existing first. So go to your wardrobe, find an item. You can click into it, and then in the in the bottom lower right hand corner, you will find the enhance button. So this is where we're generating a professional flat lay. We give you the choice of looking at the original photo here versus the enhanced photo, and you can basically choose which one you want to keep. Once you select the main image, you click save, and then this becomes the main image of your item. So not only that you can do this for existing items, you can also do it as you upload new items. So let's do one together. Upload a photo from library. So you notice here that I choose an image where I'm literally holding a hanger, right, of this item. This is very different from before. We would tell you, oh, you have to lay this on the floor, do a perfect flat lay. That's no longer true. With Enhance, you can actually just hold it in your hand. It will be way quicker. And with that button, we're essentially generating a professional flat lay here. So makes it way quicker to catalog. We're super excited here, and I think it will make a huge difference in really helping you build a digital wardrobe that's beautiful really quickly.
The reason we felt like it was time to build this feature is that, we hear again and again and again from people who are not yet on Indyx that the hardest thing is just figuring out how to get started, that cataloging their closet is an overwhelming experience. And the thought of taking photos of all of your items, let alone, the painstaking like flat lay version, is just too much and just takes too much time. And so if we're looking to just grow the tent on Indyx, like this is something that we have to tackle. We have to start making it easier for people to get into the app. And I think this does a lot to do that, right? I think especially I'm especially excited about the on hanger situation. I mean, all of them are great, but I think the on hanger situation makes it a lot quicker, right? To just kind of go through, hold things
Yeah.
up, throw them on a little hook, and just go in quick sequence versus the lay down situation. I think the other reason it's important, even for existing users, right, is that the other thing we hear, even if you do manage to get your closet on, and I think we've believed this since the beginning, is there is a correlation between how beautiful your closet is to interact with and how you actually use it. I think the more that we can make your own closet look like, your most favorite beautiful online store, the more effective we can be, right? Because it's something that you actually want to open and scroll. So I think those two things together is why we're really excited about Enhance, to just bring more people into Indyx, and even for the folks that we already have, to improve your experience with your own wardrobe. So
Yeah.
uh,
And a warning here, it is very addictive. So
yeah, yeah. Although, we wouldn't have launched this. I think the other thing that came in here is that, we keep a close eye on technologies like this. And, 3 years ago, 2 years, even 1 year ago, when we looked at this, like we just didn't think it was good enough yet. Like we were still looking at, models that couldn't take things off hangers. That was always our number one thing was we got to fix the hanger thing.
yeah.
And so it's finally there, right? And so we think, we didn't want to put out a feature where when you press the button, it only gave you an acceptable image 20% of the time, 50% of the time. We wanted it to be more like 80. And so I feel like it is there. I think we
Yeah.
are even impressed with it sometimes, but
Yeah.
it has its challenges.
Totally.
It's not perfect.
Well,
uh
AI is
yeah,
never 100%, right?
yeah,
Nothing is 100%. So I think a lot of times you just, but here, I think what I've noticed, and we've seen a lot of comments. We look at sort of the enhanced log coming in from the background. So
yeah,
so we're actively monitoring the quality here. I will say one thing I noticed is that it is very difficult for someone who doesn't really own the item, right? So let's say if you're enhancing your own items, I think you're going to be the best judge on whether it's good enough for you. And one of the reasons why we were so intentional in making this a choice is because
yeah.
we understand that we want to make this a choice for you, and we want you to be able to decide for yourself whether this is helpful. Um, but where does it, I think the one thing that I think sometimes it tends to do better with more basic items, I would say, right? We have
Yeah.
seen it fail sometimes. It's messing up kind of the design of the neckline, or if you have a really fancy ruffle sleeve, it might not be able to capture some of these like really
Yeah.
really fancy
Or like,
details.
I think it struggled, where I see it struggle the most in my closet at least is like unusual proportions, like fashiony proportions, right? So like anything that's like exaggerated in a fashion sense,
Yeah,
it can struggle with. Again, I'm impressed with, how well it does sometimes, where I throw
yeah,
something at it where I'm like, there's no way that it's going
yeah.
to do this. And it does.
Pleasantly surprised.
But definitely on the scale, it's like more basic
Yeah,
items works really well.
yeah,
Once you start to throw out more unusual things,
yeah.
it's not perfect yet.
It's not perfect.
Uh,
I,
yeah,
I think it also, I've noticed it struggling with, because we were at this cataloging session, and I've noticed it
yeah,
struggling with sometimes if you have really like branded logos, right? Like let's just say you
yeah,
have this handbag and it's got this like YSL intricate logo on it, and you're like, oh, I
yeah.
want to, the lighting's a bit dark, let's enhance this. And then the bag comes back, but then the logo got removed, right? There's some quirkiness there. Um,
I've seen it actually. One of my favorite mess ups is actually the opposite. Although I think we were able to tweak it to mostly fix this,
yeah,
which is that anytime as I was testing it, anytime I uploaded like a polo style top, like even something like this that I'm wearing, it would put the like the Ralph Lauren
yeah,
logo on
yeah,
every single time. And so I think we fixed that, but that was definitely one that yeah, logos in either direction can throw it off a little bit.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so here we're going
okay,
to continue to tweak. We're going to continue to monitor to look at adoption rates.
yeah,
But as Stephen said, right, we've been testing, experimenting here. We think it's gotten to a point where it's good. Well, we think it's great, and we hope it's helpful to you, and which is why we thought this would be the perfect time to actually release it.
yeah. And I know, so we've started to roll this out into beta already. And so we have seen some real reactions.
Yeah,
I'll acknowledge that there are people that are split, which is, I think, challenging for us as founders. I think this is one of the, I think it's one of the, it's a feature that stands out to me as something that there are users that have seen it and absolutely love it. They're like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing. I literally got a DM on Substack the other day that was like, this has made a huge difference in just how I see my own wardrobe. Thank
yeah,
you. Right. On the flip
totally.
side, we've also gotten some people that are like, I hate this. I hate any use of AI and I'm really mad at you guys. So I think that's challenging to navigate. But I think it is time. We'd love to be transparent, I guess. Can we address what is our overall stance on
Yeah.
AI in Index ED?
Yeah, totally. And I just want to start off by saying, we hear you, and we
Yeah,
hear these healthy skepticism of AI. I don't think they're particular to Index, right? Because everyone out there is trying to figure out how to integrate this latest piece of technology into everyday life. To us, and I'm sure for many of you here, style is just deeply personal. I think our wardrobe is an expression of who we are, and we really believe that no algorithm should ever flatten that. So when it comes to AI, I think we have two rules here at Index. The first one is it has to be really, really useful. Not just impressive for the sake of being impressive. It shouldn't just be a feature that exists just so we can check off an AI box. If anything, you guys know that we kind of held out from this for quite a while,
yeah,
right? So hopefully you guys believe me when we
yeah.
say that.
Because I think we
Um,
want it to be good enough. Like the technology has to be there, and we have to be clear on the actually accretive use case for our user,
exactly.
right? Like, what are you trying to do that this
Exactly.
helps you with?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's just
yeah,
say if technology can do something, I think that's quite different. Sort of, I think that's what's really unique about the way that we build product. Does it pass the threshold of actually being really, really useful and accretive to an experience? I think we set the bar pretty high in evaluating that, right? So what we're saying here is we want every feature that we release to be really useful in the sense that it meaningfully elevates your experience, and that experience really is that it really helps you to get dressed in the morning faster, with more confidence, that you know what you own, you really, you love what you wear, right? So and if it doesn't really meet that standard, we basically set a bar for ourselves that we'll play with it, but we're not going to ship it. So that's the first one. And then the second one is we wanted to make sure that the use of sort of those features, that it is a very intentional choice by you, right? To me, it's so important that AI shouldn't just be something that happens to you on Index, right? So you get to decide how this fits into your wardrobe experience. We want to give you the control. You're in control here. And then we want you to remain the curator of your own style and of how you manage your closet. And I really hope, in saying all of that, and actually in just building this product for the last 3, 4, almost 4 years, we hope that we've really demonstrated by now that we're not building AI into Index because that is trendy, right? We are strategically adding AI in places where we really think AI can do what it does best, which is going to handle the tedious tasks that you just won't do, or humans can do, and also, but at the same time, surface the really useful insights that only sort of AI can surface. And in doing all of that, really giving you back the time. Time is very precious. And then at the same time, being able to just add the extra clarity about your style.
Yeah.
So all of that is to say that, so then you can actually focus on sort of why you're here, which is focus on getting dressed every morning, dressing your best, and just finding more confidence, loving your wardrobe. That's really how we're thinking about adding AI.
Yeah. And I think on that, yeah, it's like, yes, it passes the bar of like for our general user, it
Yeah,
helps you get dressed easier and use your closet more. But at the
yeah,
same time, if you don't want to, like we said, if you don't want to use it, you don't got to
yeah,
use it,
right,
right? Like
right.
we are not intruding in here.
Yeah, totally. I think Enhance is actually the perfect example here, right? Because
Yep.
I think of Enhance as a digital iron, right? And creating a flat lay when you're not a professional photographer and have all the equipment, it's just impossible, right? So I think this is a really great use of
Yeah.
AI to just say, let's make our wardrobe beautiful with the press of a button.
Yeah. I do think it's also important. It's like with every feature we release, we have to think about it for how does this impact, what does this mean for existing users, but also like what does this mean? Theoretically, we are still only at the very, very beginning of like the broader Index trajectory. I think our hope and ambition is that, you know, exponentially more people are on Index in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now
Yeah,
than they are today. And so I think it's also important with features like this for us to just evaluate the trade-off, right? Like,
yeah,
and so speaking environmentally, right? I think we know from our data, qualitative and quantitative, that when people start using a digital wardrobe, on average, their consumption of clothing tends to slow down, right?
yeah,
Which makes sense. I think anyone,
yeah,
nearly anyone who's an existing user of Index would probably observe that for themselves. And so, and again, like we said at the beginning of this video, I think the reason why this is a big deal is that the number one thing we hear from people who aren't Index users yet is, oh, it's just so hard. I can't do it. I can't get on the app. Right.
yeah,
Um, and so, yes, AI may have some environmental impacts, but if we can use some AI to get
yeah.
many more people into using a tool like this, which we know has an offsetting impact, then like we will make that trade every single day of the week. And still very grateful for all the folks that were able to do it without it. You got us to where we are today, but we have to keep opening the tent on that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, as I said, we are actively monitoring adoption right here.
yeah,
Our assumption is that this is an accretive feature. People like it. People
yeah,
are not just pressing the button to say, delete it, right? Which is why like we waited this long to make sure it's actually that you will actually that that it's good
yeah,
enough that you will keep the majority of that AI generated images. And if by some reason the data tells us otherwise, then we'll always reevaluate.
yeah. So okay,
Because also, I think just kind of tossing it out there, right? Because on our end, the cost of providing this feature is it's not free, right? So then, from a
yeah,
running a business standpoint, in providing this
yeah,
feature, we also have to make sure that we're spending our money where
yeah,
it's accretive. So I think our incentives are aligned.
Yes, we do not have infinite money to just throw into the pit. And so,
Yeah.
even just from a financial perspective, I think hopefully trust us that we're not trying to just throw AI credits out the window either. So, um, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's general sense on AI. I guess so with the enhanced feature specifically, anywhere it's going next.
Yeah. I think we're looking at how you're using Enhance. We're looking at how much you like Enhance. I think there might be a scenario where you guys know that we recently introduced features where you can forward us receipts. You can upload PDP links. We are scraping, scanning sort of these assets that you're sending over, and then we're automatically digitizing your closet. What we've noticed that images with those through those channels are generally pretty blurry, right? Because what's included in your email is tends to be just a thumbnail image, and sometimes those images are no longer even available from the retailer's website. So I think there is an opportunity to really use Enhance to sort of further elevate that automation experience. Assuming adoption is high, we might actually consider including auto enhance into these features, which I think will be a pretty cool experience, right?
Just to make that clear, so specifically on things that you upload via URL or forward through email, basically it automatically goes like it will rather than you pressing the button, it will automatically be enhanced with this feature. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you will be able, and then right, sometimes we'll get we're always, if anything, Deb and I are probably the most critical here. We'll get it wrong sometimes, right? But we will show you the original and then you can choose, right? So you still have that choice to revert back.
Now, I will play devil's advocate here, Yudi. Is
Yeah.
not automatically enhancing the things that I'm sending you via email forwarder, not giving me the choice to use AI.
Well, I would say, that entire feature uses AI, right? It's
Yeah.
how we're able to do it accurately, do it efficiently. So here, this is where I would say, right now, and then for those who didn't know, now you know. So this is where I would say, in the choice is actually more upstream, right? The choice is that if you're forwarding us an email, you're choosing to use AI. So we're giving a little disclaimer here, but once you do that, we will make a fully automated experience to give you a
Yeah.
crisp professional flat lay. We think it's a great experience, but again, you can always upload your closet the same way as you always have.
Yeah.
And then the entire sort of AI usage is a choice for you.
Yeah. But I think I'll say this one was important to me in that we do auto enhance email forward. Of
Yeah.
course, I want to stay true to yes, like we talked through this a lot, right? Of
Yeah.
how do we do this where it's still a choice, but like I do feel strongly that where email forwarding and maybe potentially
Yeah.
automated scanning has fallen short in the past, is that the images that are available, like you said, are just like they're either on model or they are really low resolution. And so
Yeah.
it just isn't actually, in my opinion, a great
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
to do email scanning without enhance. And so I think, I hope that we can be consistent in that. We're giving you the choice. The whole thing uses AI. So if you are opposed to AI, you got to opt out of the whole system of that email forwarding. But at the same time, for those who are perfectly fine with it, to give those folks a really clean and beautiful experience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I think also with enhance what's to come, I think we are, like I said, we are obsessively looking at the logs. It is the thing that at least right now I love to refresh the most all the time, multiple times per day. We do have an eye on that. We are keeping an eye on that. We're also keeping an eye specifically on the instances, like you said, Edie, of where people press the enhance button but don't choose to save the image. And so I think, this is not the end of the road with enhance. Like, we're probably not going to make some big announcement about enhance improving, right? There's no relaunch to enhance. But I think over time, one, models always improve. And then
Yeah.
second, as we see more of the use case, come through with
Yeah.
our specific users, I think there are also tweaks that we will make and continue to make on our end to make it even better. So
Yes.
that's important. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Anything
Well,
else?
no, that's
Enhance?
it. That's
All
it.
right. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully, we'd love to hear how you feel about Enhance in the comments. But we will catch you next time.
All
All right.
right.
All right. Bye.